Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where this time we're going to be doing a character review and discussion for Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka is one of the longest running characters in Star Wars that continues to appear in projects and receive development. And I think the main takeaway from her character is that you have to have patience with a character when they're first introduced that may not necessarily be what they are and what they will ultimately become. And I think Ahsoka is one of the best examples of that. When she was first introduced, everyone hated Ahsoka. At least most people in my circle, most Star Wars fans that I knew personally, friends, family members, everyone kind of thought the idea of Anakin having a Padawan was kind of tacked on and unnecessary to an extent. And her character itself, she was basically a child. She was annoying. You didn't really couldn't really relate to her in a lot of ways. She was just kind of that annoying tag along kid joining Anakin and Obi-Wan on their Clone Wars adventures. But man, if you had told me back then when Ahsoka was first introduced what she would ultimately become, what she would ultimately mean to the Star Wars franchise, I wouldn't have believed it, but here we are all these years later, and we have a very deep and layered character. We've watched her grow from that young child in the Clone Wars to, a young woman having to navigate Order 66 and confront her old master in his new form of Darth Vader, go on the run, help the Rebel Alliance, and then ultimately come back and try to stop Thrawn from returning to the galaxy, which is the current story arc that she's on, as we can see in the Mandalorian and the Ahsoka series. Which, speaking of which, if you had told me that this childish animated character from the original Clone Wars would ultimately get her own series in live action with her as an adult, I wouldn't have believed that either. But the thing about Ahsoka is the fact that she stepped away from the Jedi Order because she didn't feel like they were doing the right things. Obviously, they accused her of bombing in the Jedi Temple that was not done by her, but they were so quick to judge and so quick to make a very permanent decision on her fate without really taking the time to take a deeper look at what was really going on. And that kind of sums up a lot of the flaws of the Jedi in the prequels to begin with. But that's something that Ahsoka saw early on, and she was able to go off on her own. I loved seeing her in a more mature state of mind return and help Anakin, as she leads the siege of Mandalore. That is a great story arc, one of the greatest of the Clone Wars. And seeing her have that confrontation with Maul and then ultimately face Order 66 and have to make so many difficult decisions. She's a character that has been through a lot, and as an adult, she's really guarded and, kind of in a way given up on hope because of everything she's been through. She watched her master fall to the dark side. She doubts her own ability to be a teacher because of that. The past really hangs on her. She was someone who literally had to grow up and spend her childhood fighting in a war. But these are all things that have made her a strong person and a strong character. And these are the things that can fuel her to be a successful teacher and to still be a successful leader. And these are things that she kind of has to realize about herself in the Ahsoka series. I do agree that she has been kept around a lot longer than expected. Obviously, Dave Filoni is very hesitant to kill off his creation, but I'm excited for Ahsoka season 2. I'm excited to see where the story goes. I think she has a ton of story left to tell as far as the Peridia and Thrawn storylines and see what part she plays in that. But as it stands, gonna give Ahsoka an 8.6 out of 10. Like I said, a very well developed character that has been developed over a long period of time in many different projects. So you would expect that, but 8.6 where I'm at, and that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you watching. As always, hit that subscribe button, it helps out the channel a ton. May the force be with you. Now let's blow up that like button and go home.